Hey, we're started up here. Hey, how's it going, folks? How you doing out there? Welcome to another Drink and a Wink Gifto review. uh, this isn't going to be very long, but I figured I'd kind of celebrate here in a number of ways. Only in that, celebrate, plug, and be thankful for a couple of things. For many of us here in the musicians and all college educators, a lot of us are getting started. One of my schools starts tomorrow. I just teach some private lessons there, so I'm not as busy as my other folks. I figured you toast you all. I know some of you teachers, the lower levels have already, not lower, high school and junior high have already started up. So I thought I'd have a little drink here and bring you something really kind of fun and interesting and surprising, and also something coming from a place of friendship and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to present that. So we spun out of the focus on agave stuff and all that kind of stuff. Started, I'll tell you what. I got to come back to Scotch, and we're getting into the fall. I've covered bourbon before in September. We're coming up to my very significant birthday for me. So I was like, I got to come back. I got to come back to single malt Scotch whiskey, blended Scotch, and check out some other stuff too. But it's been a lot of fun checking out all these new things. This summer. It was a summer of whiskey growth or spirits growth, because again we did a deep dive into whiskey, which we very much enjoyed, American single malt whiskey, which we very much enjoyed, and then we got into all that agave stuff. So it's kind of been interesting, but what's kind of funny, as much as I like all of those different spirits and whiskeys, I come back to a good single malt Scotch, and I'm like, that's still where my heart's at. For lack of or for better or for worse, that's I really do enjoy. And it's been worse from a pocketbook standpoint because prices have gone up. We've got tariff things to figure out, and all that kind of stuff and deal with, it's very interesting that I won't get it's kind of funny that a lot of the bigger companies here in the United States, were all for a certain person, and now everything that certain person's administration is doing is really screwing everyone up. Because I hear no American whiskey company telling me that everything has kind of grown. D&AW is reporting losses. Brown-Forman's CEO is now retiring, as that stock has dropped quite a bit. So I don't really know what's going on, but we'll fix it, because I heard that there's new tariff or talks with Canada broke down. So after I drink this, I'm going to have a little of this. Anyway, let's get back into this and keep it light. Okay, so one of the wondrous joys of teaching music to people of all ages is I get to meet some really fascinating people. Adult students that come and study with me, I will start beginners on things, but they're usually on an interesting journey. I just started another student on vibraphone, and he's retired, and he's really enjoying it. We're kind of playing along. He just bought a mallet cat after like 2 lessons. But I get to meet these really fascinating people. And Deb, and like I said, I don't use last names, but if if you've taken some classes over at Harper, especially in the improv area and that kind of thing like that, not music, but acting, comedy, that kind of thing, you might know her. But she started taking drum lessons with me. We've been kind of at it maybe a year and a half, 2 years, I can't remember. And it's been a pleasure, and she's also become a great friend. So sometimes it's really interesting. She's giving me a lot of advice on things involving parent care and stuff like that, and we just like to have a lot of fun. So it's always interesting to, sometimes when we can become kind of insular into our little groups, and as much as sometimes the allure of being kind of this type of musician and all that kind of stuff, and like I want to only teach this and that, or I just want to teach a bunch of people that are going to become kind of my acolytes and try to be something of the jazz drummer or the contemporary drummer that I want to be. I see a lot of that. Sometimes it's just great. You know what? Yeah, you want to study with me? And if you're interested, we'll learn. And what's interesting is that all those people that I take on, I don't know if it's my teaching. I think it's a combination of both. There's an interest for a new thing for them. There's no pressure on them. They're not trying to play gigs. They're not trying to be cool. They're just trying to learn and have some fun and maybe play, you know, a jam session or something like that. I meet people that I never met before. So that's where I'm going. Anyway, Deb went to Scotland, and she went to a couple different places, but what was really fascinating is she went to the Isle of Raasay. Okay, now this is a very I've only heard of this. Not that I do a lot of geographic study of Scotland, but I've only heard of this because of their single malt Scotch whiskey. Oops, sorry. As you can see, and this is very interesting because it's located kind of in between the Isle of Skye, which I have told you has also a newer distillery called Torveg, which I have two of those, which the other one is, what's the other one on the Isle of Skye? Why am I blanking? Somebody help me out. Talisker? Is that right? Anyway, there's one kind of dusty old one that isn't all that interesting these days. And then this Torveg came out, and I was like, or Torveg, and I'm like, yes, bring it on. Great stuff. They're about, a very young distillery. The Isle is, like I said, 12 miles long, 3 miles wide. That's it. We've got a wonderful, it's with a population of 195 people. So I don't know how many of those work at the distillery, but that is fascinating. It's only, you only get there by like ferry and that kind of stuff. Very fascinating things. I'm not going to go all in it. I'm not Rick Steves. All right. This distillery, I have a couple of little notes on the distillery. It was opened in 2017, something like that. Okay. Fascinating stuff. I never really heard much about it. They are relatively new. I've always been fascinated by it, but they're a small distillery, and it seemed like right when stuff was kind of getting here in stores, there was some markup, just like everything else. All the companies have. So I kind of stayed away from it. But I was always fascinated by it, and I'd hear about it when I was watching some of my Scotch podcasts and that kind of stuff. So all of a sudden, she tells me that she went to this distillery. Fascinating tour. She said the tour was awesome, and she was very, very generous and brought back this wonderful bottle of the Isle of Raasay Hebridean single malt Scotch whiskey. The Hebrides, it's located along that area, called the Chinkapin. Okay, bottled at a whopping 50.5%. No age statement on this one yet because they are a relatively young company. I didn't even look at like what it possibly could be, but it's single malt Scotch whiskey, so it's got to be at least 3 years. No chill, 50.2, which is kind of a whopper. All natural color, non-chill filtered. Lots of other information on here. Okay, I'm going to pour it, and then I'll talk a little bit more. So, what's interesting is you see this word on the front called the Chinkapin. Okay, the Chinkapin is a variety of oak. Okay, look at this. She even brought back a glass for me. That's no mean feat to get a glass without breaking across, just across the ferry and then getting over here. Wonderful stuff. This just like the volcanic rocks that you find, the volcanic landscape you'll find on the Isle of Raasay. It just erupts out of the bottle. The aroma, it's just really great. Like I don't even have to stick it in the glass. It smells wonderful in here, just right in this location. So, this Chinkapin is a little bit different kind of oak. It's, from what they're saying, this is the only whiskey that they know of that is aged exclusively in Chinkapin oak. Okay, what they're doing here is they're taking peated distillate, okay, and unpeated, letting them age separately in the Chinkapin oak, and then blending them together. Still single malt. It's just a different kind of process that you might instead of blending the malt early, like I said, they're keeping peated malted barley separate from unpeated, and then aging them individually in this Chinkapin oak. Things about Chinkapin you might want to know: it's at natural vanillin flavor, rich dessert-like notes, parts of a distinct note of butterscotch, creme brulee, toasted nuts, dark chocolate, baking spices, and subtle smoke. That is not from their website. That is actually from the Buffalo Trace Distillery. So it's used in other places, but in terms of single malt Scotch whiskey aged specifically and only exclusively in this oak, is very, very interesting. They mentioned some notes of barbecue flavors. This company, I don't know what else is on the bottle. Really cool stuff. I love the bottle. I love everything about this. They're trying to, obviously, a place with population that small. They're employing, quite a few people. They're trying to keep everything local. They also make a gin that is supposed to be outstanding. Maybe I'll pick that up someday if I find it. Using well water from the island. On the nose, single malt Scotch whiskey, a peat note. I mean, obviously, but a peat note that's subtle. You'd almost think that this was sherry cask, which is very interesting since it's not. It's Chinkapin oak cask, meaning it's made of this wood. I don't know if these are brand new. I don't know if it says it or not. It says these rare oak casks have a high toast and a heavy char, and it's coming through here fabulously. The peated element keeps the nose from going completely nuts on the literally completely nuts on the nose. Nuts on the nose. Just a very it's a unique flavor profile for me. I smelled a lot of single malt Scotch whiskey, and this is unique. This is just a gorgeous dram. Starts off very well. The nuts and toffee notes come through, but halfway through the taste, then the peat comes through, the smoke comes through. And I forgot that this is 50-point ABV, so you see a little bit of water growing up here. I forgot about that. This is one of the most well-balanced no-age statements I've ever had. Very unique. On the finish, it's long. It's coating the tongue. It hangs around for a long time. That's also very surprising. This hangs around and holds itself up and doesn't go sour or doesn't go overly oaky long into the finish. I mean, it just, yeah, and that's where you get some more peat notes. The peat notes are punchy, but not overpowering, and more on the barbecue and more on the charcoal kind of notes than the sea, salt water, seaweed. But there is a little bit of it there. It's really outstanding. Like I said, this year has been an interesting. Well, I kind of talked about this last year, but maybe say in this calendar year, after my last birthday, the end of September, I started getting a little bit more like I have to try some of these newer distilleries that have no age statements. Just so happened that I had gotten a couple as a gift. Ardnamurchan's sherry cask release, and the Chorveg I mentioned. So I started doing that more. I mean, I haven't bought a ton of bottles, but I bought a Glen Scotia recently, which I don't know if I've talked about yet. Well, that's from the Campbelltown region. Maybe I did do a video on that. I can't remember. That's a no-age statement. Very outstanding, very unique. That closes the loop on the Campbelltown distilleries. I don't know why I made this motion for a loop. Let's go with a loop. Let's go with a circle. Something like that. Anyway, this one kind of closes the loop on some of those different little isles that I have. I got some from the Isle of Skye. We have Tobermoor from the Isle of Mull. This one is a little isle all its own. This is just really, really fabulous. I'm going to have one more taste. And this is what's really interesting. Just like I said, getting outside your comfort zone and checking out, doing something different, teaching some different people, giving up on your, I only teach whatever. You meet some great people. And then it turns out that you're not making any, sometimes they end up being the best students. For instance, Deb is about the only student that every week brings a notebook and writes notes down. Some of my college students do that. Some of my jazz drum students do that, but not often. Not all the time. This is just really, really fascinating. I can tell you that if you see another Isle of Raasay, they're going to be giving you a quality dram. I don't know if you can find this Chinkapin here, but I would. Who am I going to recommend this to? It's probably going to be somewhat pricey, but it is. If you're into single malt Scotch whiskey, this is going to be a winner. If you also have some bourbon interest, you're bourbon curious. This one, this Chinkapin Oak, really gives this a light bit of that note. What is interesting to me is they are not trying to be a bourbon or kind of please bourbon lovers, or kind of, I mean, finding this here is going to be tough. So they're not trying to do that. Unlike the blended Scotch from Johnny Walker called the Black, what is it called? Oh, jeez, I can't even remember. Everything Black Cask. Okay, that is something that is specifically designed to be a bourbon fan. Now that's going to be cheaper. It's not bad, but that's that. This would please bourbon lovers without doing that, if they're in a little of that peat smoke. So barbecue notes and the high toast and char, that is coming through here, but there is also a hit of peat. So if peat is not your thing, this isn't for you. But if you like some subtle peat notes, more on the barbecue side, then this is more like the peat you're going to find in the subtle. There's more peat here, but the subtle notes that you get from Highland peat, like in some of the little bit more peated Highland Parks, would be another one that would really kind of. One from Isla. For me, Lafroig, Ardbeg, those are always really the sea salties. Maybe the Kalila too. Maybe Lagavulin a little bit could have more of this note. And definitely the Bruichladdich Port Charlotte. This has that kind of peat versus really, 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 ocean kind of seaweed vibes. Delicious. And what's always great is you take a quick sip, you get a certain taste. Then you hold it longer, and you get a whole different experience. One of the higher ratings I'm going to give for a no age statement, because I'm being flexible on all things, giving this an 8.5. I really enjoy this one. I will look for another one. Another thing, finally, an arbiter of things. Michelle's. Michelle. There's nothing about Michelle. It's like she drinks high ABV whiskeys. She loves her high ABV rye. She likes her high rise. She is not a big fan of bourbons, especially the ones that are sweeter. that are more, corn heavy. But with peated whiskey, she's kind of like, she has a threshold. She likes Lagavulin 8. She likes Lagavulin 16, whatever it is, 16, classic. She likes some of the ones that I bring to her. There are ones that she doesn't like. She does not. She won't drink Lefroy. She won't. She doesn't enjoy anything from Ardbeg. That's just the way she likes it. Okay, so if it has like fruity notes with the peat, she's really into it, like the Lagavulin 8. This one she enjoyed very, very much, and it did not put her off at all. Yeah, this Chinkapin, I'm a big fan. I'm going to have to find some other whiskeys, or just buy another one of these. It's really an interesting flavor. Really, really warming. Probably a little too warming for the weather right now, but we are cooling off. I'm going to do 2 more things here before I go. I'd be remiss, as I mentioned before, I usually save this one for special occasions. This is the Crown Royal Winter Wheat from the Noble collection that was out a few years ago. I don't know if you can find this, but this is a fabulous Canadian whiskey. I'm not a huge fan of Crown Royal Regular, and I've had many different. I've bought recent bottles. I have one from the 60s. It's still kind of on the end of being. It's up there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of buried somewhere up there. Somewhere there. It's really buried. Maybe I moved it somewhere. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yeah, I heard about this stuff with the talks going down, and now he's going to impose like 50% of stuff. So maybe I should be saving this. But in the spirit of, you know what, let's just, like, Jesus. Like I said, I heard now we're going to be paying more for, Canadian whiskey is going to be tougher to get. Hockey sticks and tires. And I've dealt with tires so much in the last 2 weeks on my cars. My favorite sport is hockey. I used to play it quite a bit. So that's the troika for me. That, yeah, you know what? I'm going to have myself a little Canadian whiskey. Now, unfortunately for this whiskey blows this one away. But this is a very, if you're into, I know I've talked about this a while back, but I'm not going to do Canadian whiskey anytime soon. So this winter wheat from the Noble collection, all distilled from winter wheat and fine grain. So this is a high wheat. I'm sure there's some rye in here. This is a really delicious Canadian whiskey. Perhaps my favorite Canadian whiskey that I've ever had, to be quite honest. Although that Weiser up there, that you might see right somewhere there, is also wonderful. So it's a special one. Makes me think maybe my next purchase should be. There are a couple of different J.P. Weiser special selections that were at Vinnie's that they made a pick. Wondering if maybe it might be a good idea to grab one of those before the prices jump up again. Anyway, wonderful. Lots of good whiskey here. Isle of Raasay, Chinkapin, single malt Scotch whiskey, bottled at 50-point-something%. 50 point, wonderful. Island population 161, natural color, non-chill filtered, a blend of aged peated whiskey, and like I said, when I say that, it doesn't mean it's a blended whiskey, it just means their distillate. Okay, we're finding that peated whiskey might be reacting a little bit differently to the Chinkapin from the regular one. Just outstanding whiskey all the way around. I'm gonna cherish this one. It's also a gift, so that's always wonderful. I don't normally rate gifts unless they're really, really good. That's happened a couple of times, you know. So nobody ever gives me junk because everybody knows that, you know, they do the research. And if you want to sit back with a nice, sweet but nice, warming, mellow whiskey, the Crown Royal Noble collection, if you can find it, limited release, the winter wheat. They have other ones in that collection that are also very good, but this one, near and dear to my heart. All right, folks, we'll see you soon. I really have nothing funny. I just, yeah, hockey sticks. It's no excuse. But I'm complaining about this. People are getting pulled off the street still. Sorry. Just, you can admit it. Go ahead.